You're listening to AI Signals Daily Dose. $1 million a day. That's what it was costing OpenAI to keep Sora alive. And the total revenue the app generated in its entire lifetime? $2.1 million. That means Sora burned through more money in a single weekend than it ever earned. And by the end of this episode, you'll understand why this isn't just a story about one failed product. It's a warning sign for the entire AI industry. This is your Daily Dose for March 31st, 2026. Today we're going deep on the death of Sora, OpenAI's AI video generator that launched with enormous hype and died just 6 months later. We'll look at the staggering economics that killed it, the billion-dollar Disney deal that collapsed overnight, and what this tells us about which AI bets will survive and which won't. Let's get into it. On March 24th, OpenAI quietly announced it was pulling the plug on Sora. The standalone app and Sora.com will shut down on April 26th. The API follows on September 24th. And just like that, one of the most hyped AI products of 2025 was dead. The numbers tell a brutal story. After a splashy launch in the fall of 2025, Sora's user count peaked at around 1 million. Sounds decent, right? But by early 2026, that number had collapsed to fewer than 500,000. Downloads fell roughly 66% between November and February. People tried it, were impressed for about 10 minutes, and then never came back. And here's the thing that makes this so painful. Every one of those users was incredibly expensive to serve. Generating a single 10-second video clip cost OpenAI about $1.30 in compute. That doesn't sound like much until you multiply it across millions of generations. At peak usage, the daily compute bill reportedly hit around $1 million. Meanwhile, the total revenue Sora ever generated was just $2.1 million. So let me put that in perspective. Sora burned through its entire lifetime revenue in roughly 2 days of operation. That's not a business model. That's a money bonfire. Now, the economics alone would have been enough to kill Sora. But what made this shutdown truly dramatic was the collateral damage. And this part of the story, honestly, reads like a Hollywood breakup. Disney had been in talks with OpenAI for a major partnership. The plan was ambitious. Disney would take a $1 billion stake in OpenAI, and in return, Sora would get access to over 200 characters from Disney, Marvel, Pixar, and Star Wars. Imagine generating videos with those characters using just a text prompt. For OpenAI, it would have been a massive legitimacy boost. For Disney, it was a way to stay ahead of the AI content curve. But here's how Disney found out the deal was dead. According to multiple reports, Disney learned Sora was being shut down less than an hour before the public announcement. Less than an hour. No actual money had changed hands since the deal was never finalized. But the relationship damage was real. Disney's reported response was blunt. The future is human. Think about that for a second. You're Disney. You've spent months negotiating a billion-dollar deal with the hottest AI company on the planet. And you find out your investment is worthless from a tweet at basically the same time as the general public. That's not how partnerships are supposed to work. And Disney wasn't the only one blindsided. Developers who had built products on Sora's API took to social media, describing the scramble to rebuild their infrastructure. One startup founder said they got less than 30 days' notice to migrate away from a core feature. The trust issue here goes beyond Sora. If OpenAI is willing to kill a major product with barely any warning, can developers really rely on them as a platform? This whole situation reflects a broader strategic shift inside OpenAI. Sam Altman reportedly told employees that the company needed to do fewer things better. The March shutdowns were the tangible result. Sora wasn't the only casualty. OpenAI also paused or curtailed other features as part of what insiders are calling a sweeping consolidation around ChatGPT and its core API. And there's a competitive angle here too. While OpenAI had a team pouring resources into making video generation work, Anthropic was quietly winning over the software engineers and enterprises that actually drive recurring revenue. Claude Code was gaining serious traction. OpenAI was fighting a war on too many fronts, and something had to give. So Sora is dead, but AI video generation is very much alive. And this is where the story gets really interesting. The competitors didn't just survive Sora's brief reign, they got better. Runway's Gen 4 and Gen 4.5 now deliver what many professionals call the best temporal consistency and motion control on the market. It starts at $12 a month. Kuaishou's Kling 2.0 generates comparable quality at roughly 40% of the cost per second of video, making it dominant for high-volume social media production. Google's Veo 3.1 can produce true 4K video at 60 frames per second with synchronized audio generated in a single pass. That's a remarkable technical achievement. And then there's Pika, which leaned into something clever. Instead of chasing pure realism, they built physics-based animation effects they call peak effects. Melting, crushing, inflating objects. It's perfect for scroll-stopping social media content, and at $8 a month, it's the most accessible option out there. By early 2026, Runway and Pika had matched or exceeded Sora on quality metrics, while cutting generation time by 60 to 80%. The market didn't need Sora. It had already moved on. But here's the bigger lesson, and this is what I really want you to take away from today. The Sora story is a case study in what happens when you confuse a stunning technical demo with a viable product. Sora's launch video in February 2024 was genuinely jaw-dropping. Remember those hyper-realistic videos of people walking through Tokyo? The internet lost its collective mind. But generating a breathtaking demo on a carefully controlled setup is a completely different challenge from running an economically sustainable service for millions of users. Video generation requires 10 to 15 times the compute of a standard ChatGPT conversation for every minute of output. At a time when OpenAI was already losing over $5 billion in 2025, every GPU cluster matters. The math never worked, and no amount of hype was going to change that. This pattern is going to repeat, not with Sora specifically, but with other AI products that look amazing in a showcase and turn out to be impossible to sustain at scale. The companies that win in AI aren't necessarily the ones with the flashiest demos. They're the ones who figure out the economics first. Who can serve millions of users without hemorrhaging cash? Who builds something people actually come back to day after day, not just try once and forget? Look at the AI video companies that are actually thriving right now. Runway, Kling, Pika. They didn't try to be everything to everyone on day one. They found specific use cases, specific audiences, and specific price points that worked. Runway went after professionals. Kling went after high-volume creators. Pika went after social media. Each of them found a lane where the economics made sense. OpenAI seems to have learned this lesson the hard way. The Sora team is being redirected to what the company calls world simulation research to advance robotics. That's a long-term research bet, not a consumer product. And it signals that even the most ambitious AI company in the world is admitting that sometimes the smartest move is to stop, cut your losses, and refocus. So that's the big picture for today. The headline you'll want to remember is this: the death of Sora isn't just an OpenAI story. It's the first major reality check for AI products built on extraordinary compute costs and uncertain demand. Keep an eye on which other AI products face the same economic squeeze in the coming months. Because the lesson of Sora is simple. In AI, the demo is easy. The business is hard. If you found this breakdown useful, share it with someone who's trying to make sense of where AI is actually heading. I'll be back tomorrow with more. Until then, stay curious.